And welcome back, Sean. Man, our basketball teams. Well, I stand. Okay, my favorite basketball team and the team that you are currently kind of saddled with because your favorite player plays for them. They are like conjoined twins at the moment, man. You cannot keep the Phoenix Suns out of your mouth if you're talking about the Indiana Pacers, and maybe a little bit vice versa at this point. So naturally, we're going to start where none of the other shows would start, and we're going to start with the least known name, which would be my man, and I hope your homie, Jalen Smith. My man Sticks, a fellow goggles wearer. You know, Sean B, I know. Yeah.
That's my dog.
So before we get into the deal, because myself and other Pacers fans are drooling over this, and I'll get into that when it's my turn. But before I spin my web, you got to experience Jalen Smith as he was playing in Phoenix. So what were your thoughts, like getting to watch him? What's your take? If you had to, a casual scouting report, if you will, what's your vibe check on Jalen?
I like him a lot. I was actually very bummed out to see him go. I mean, granted, it was kind of, the writing was on a wall for a while. Like, it wasn't a surprise when he got, shipped off to Indiana, but it was bitter. I mean, it was sad nonetheless. So, I have no ill will towards the guy. I think he has potential to be a really solid player. But in order for him to do that, he's going to need minutes, and that just wasn't something that he was getting in Phoenix. So I'm actually happy for him in the long, that he's in a situation where he probably is going to get a lot more playing time than he would have if he continued to stay in Phoenix. So, like I said, no hard feelings. I'm hoping he turns into a stud for y'all. That's totally cool by me, bro.
Yeah, and to add to your argument for the folks at home who maybe don't understand what we're getting at here, in the 2020-2021 season, in his 27 games, Jalen averaged 5.8 minutes per game, scoring only 2 points per game. And then in the 29 games that he played with Phoenix last year, he averaged only 13.2 minutes, and only 6 points per game. However, once he got to Indiana, he was playing nearly 25 minutes per game, attempting nearly 10 field goals a game, and his averages went up to 13.4 points. He averaged nearly 8 rebounds, almost an assist, and 1 whole block per game, while turning the ball over less than once a game. So the promise is right there. I mean, this guy, he's shot and very efficient from the floor. I didn't even realize he had a 3-point shot, but he attempted almost 4 threes a game in Indiana and shot 37% from 3. That's not terrible for a forward that I didn't even know could shoot.
Right.
And now we'll get a little bit into the deals. I felt the same way. I was a little saddened when this trade initially happened, because the deal was, we sent Torrey Craig back to Phoenix for Jalen. And I remember how excited I was. I think you and I talked. I think you were the one who told me when Torrey Craig came over, you're like, you guys got a good one heading over to Indianapolis. So I was sad to see him leave, because moves like that are also an admittance of this isn't going to be our year. When you move a playoff caliber role player like that, it's a surefire sign, especially when you trade him for a guy who's playing less than 15 minutes a game. It's a surefire sign that you're starting the rebuild. However, I've loved everything I've seen from Jalen Smith. The Pacers fans have a fun little Twitter trend where for the entire second half of last season, they were saying fake negative things about him to try to convince other teams to not sign him. He was the worst kept secret, I thought, in the NBA. I thought for sure he was going to get some money, which is why I was surprised that he signed a 3-year, $15.1 million contract with the Pacers. The third year is a player option, includes a 10% trade kicker. But he could have gotten more money elsewhere, and part of me thinks it was not only the playing opportunity, but the just undeniable love from the fan base that convinced Jalen to stick around. I'm excited about this, and I think we're going to have one. You know what this reminds me of, Sean? And I know you're going to be one of the people who was around for this and can actually speak on it with me. But this reminds me, come along with me for a minute if you will, of a former young power forward who was buried on the bench in Portland. A young man who was traded from the Trailblazers to the Indiana Pacers, who would one day, well, he was always Jermaine O'Neal, but he would one day become the Jermaine O'Neal, the Pacers' perennial all-star and the eventual captain of that team. He kind of took over for Reggie Miller. These are very similar situations. That's all I'm saying. You never know.
Yeah, you sure don't until it's happening right in front of you, bro. So, I mean, that very well could be the case. I mean, I didn't even really think about that. Yeah, I mean, it looks very, very similar. Feels very similar for sure. Because, I mean, Jermaine O'Neal, no one thought he would be the caliber player that he became. Like, no one, people wrote him off pretty much from jump, dude. He was a stud in high school, and all that good shit, and coming out, no one really thought he had what it takes at the NBA level. Like, I remember watching a little documentary about him not too long ago, actually. There was a lot of discussion about how he was, wrote off from the beginning, and he turned into be the stud that we know today. So, Jalen Smith has that same kind of potential, my dude. Like, there's something about players, man, the underdog players, like something about dudes with chips on their shoulder. Like, you can't ever underestimate a dude with a chip on their shoulder. Like, there's no telling. Like, seriously, I know it sounds cliche, but like, we see it time and time again, dude. Like, a lot of the time with these players that come out who aren't very, are highly heralded or whatever the case may be, have a lot of knocks against them for whatever reasons. There's more often than not, I feel like a lot of them dudes flourish because, there's certain type of dudes, certain kind of players who need that, like, negativity. It's like you got one of the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, used to make shit up just to have a reason to go out and put the kill switch on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, would tell himself lies just to get himself motivated. I mean, there's dudes like that, bro. They just need someone dogging them constantly. And that very well, not saying people out here dogging Jalen, because I think it's honestly kind of the opposite. I mean, I feel like, I'm sure you're not the only Pacers fan who's probably embracing him. He's got hella potential. You guys saw that last year. Like, his numbers, once you gave him playing time, his numbers definitely went up. That's a good sign. So, but I think him getting drafted first round and then pretty much sitting on the bench for a whole season and a half probably didn't sit with him tight. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm sure he feels like he's got something to prove. So I'm excited to see what he does with his time in Indiana. Like, I really do think you guys got a stud and make it for real.
Well, I hate to be that show, but I absolutely agree with you. Of course I do. I hear the angry keyboards already. Of course, I'm being a homer. Let me just say it for you. I understand. But two things can be true at the same time. So just remember, I could be just as right about this as I was about Tristan Thompson to Chicago, but I shouldn't bring that up every episode. Anyway, Jalen Smith is only 20.
I'm a Chicago fan typing a comment right now. Like, bro, right now someone's typing like, this dude.
It's okay, as long as me and the Pistons fans are cool, because they got an exciting young team I can't wait to watch, even though it's going to be to my team's detriment in the standings at times. But, when we were talking about Jalen Smith, you talk about that chip on the shoulder, and it's a good point, and it's one of the reasons that I thought he was such a good signing is that we really haven't had a chance to see what he could do if given the opportunity to flourish. But then, all of a sudden things break down in Phoenix between Deandre Ayton and the front office.